So in the first episode, you saw me learning the basics of trading. So that's getting set up with a demo account, chatting with my broker. So since then, I've been researching some of the companies that I'm interested in, such as Tesla, Shopify, Amazon, those forward-thinking companies. So I've actually set up a call with Tim Furey, who is the CEO of Tradeview Markets. I'm going to chat with him via Zoom, and he's going to give me a little bit of the history of the company and hopefully give me some advice as well. So let's go. So Tim, thanks for chatting with me today. Tradeview is going through a massive growth phase at the moment. You're a global company. So what motivated you to actually start?
Well, Monica, I wanted to make the financial markets more accessible. I want to make it easier for people to invest and trade independently. No matter how much money they have, they will be able to be part of it. I think this business is run on 80% psychology and 20% mechanics, not the other way around. Many firms seem to operate on autopilot, and it gives the impression that they are this perfect, humanless machine. In the end, this is a people's business. I think the breakthroughs are going to be made by connecting with customers on a deeper level.
So it's all about connecting, and you have a big team and you're known for your customer support. So is that what really makes you unique?
Well, Monica, I think the corporate culture of Tradeview Markets is our biggest strength. The best companies in the industry survive over time because they have a strong culture. My core staff has been with me for over 14 years. This is still a relatively young industry, and clients come to us because of our expertise. The saying is, if you build it, they will come. It's that simple. You give traders what they need.
So is that for experienced traders? Because for someone like me who's new, it can be a little bit overwhelming at first.
From beginners to professionals. The difference with Tradeview Markets than other brokerage is I've walked in the shoes of our clients. It started for me in college. I was a novice trader looking to learn. After college, I landed a job with a prominent Wall Street firm to learn from the best. Found out how to become an experienced trader. Years later, the next step, I moved to Chicago. At the end of the day, I was always looking for a better and more professional rate environment.
So Tim, you moved to Chicago, you worked in the open outcry pits. It's something that we only really see on TV, in movies. It must have been a really interesting experience.
It was a fascinating time in my life. It was 1999. I packed up, moved to Chicago. A few months later, after all the tests and training, I was ready to go into the pits and start waving my hands and acting crazy. I remember my first day when I walked into the overcrowded pit. Traders get very territorial and angry if you stand in the wrong spot. I lasted for 5 minutes before they picked on me like a 10-year-old boy. A few minutes later, I walked out and thought, I can't do this. This is crazy. I just gave up everything and moved to Chicago. What was I thinking? So I went for a nice, long walk outside in the cold. Luckily, I came back later in the day to give it another try. The markets were calmed down a little bit. There were few people in there. I walked into the pit and stayed there observing. After that, I observed for 2 to 3 very long weeks. I didn't raise my hand once. The day finally came, I raised my hand and I heard sold. I was shaking. Was it me they sold it to? Was it the guy next to me? And who said sold? The trader yelled back to me to confirm the trade. I confirmed with him. And a minute later, I sold on the next tick, made $50 a profit. And I still have that transaction today. I framed it. With that came confidence. I was trading every day, yelling and screaming while standing up and jumping around for 7 hours a day.
And in the pits, it looks stressful and competitive. Did you have any run-ins with anyone?
As time went by, I marked my territory in the pit. I had my spot. It's street rules when it comes to that. It's a thing. You don't take someone else's spot. And of course, one morning I get to work late. I walk into the pit and there's this huge human being, 6'5", standing in my spot. Now, everyone is watching to see what I do. If I show weakness, everyone will run over me. I told him nicely, please get out of my spot. He looked at me and said, first come, first serve, get lost, kid.
So what did you do from there?
If you get in a fight in the pit, you get a $5,000 fine and possible suspension for a few days. If you push, you maybe get a $200 fine and you can continue to trade. So I walked across the pit, I got in a football stance and charged into the big person and pushed him out of my spot. It worked. He couldn't believe it. Everybody was watching and laughing. He stood on the lower step in front of me in spite for the rest of the day. And he was very tall, so no one could see me. Lots of back and forth that day. I made sure he was not comfortable. More importantly, the next day, he was on the other side of the pit.
So you marked your territory. Clearly you've had a lot of experience over the years. For someone like me who's new, it can be a little bit overwhelming to learn trading from scratch, and you want to get it right, you don't want to do it wrong. So what advice would you give someone like me?
Perfection is the enemy of profitability. Dive into it. You can start with something small. It's 1,000 times easier than when I got started in the business. You could trade on your mobile phone, anywhere in the world. Start small, buy stocks for the long term, or day trade.
And you offer different markets to trade in on MetaTrader 5 as well.
We offer stocks, Forex, commodities, gold, cryptocurrencies.
So it's really about finding out what you're interested in. So for me, for example, I'm more interested in stocks and companies. So what's the next step for me?
Well, Monica, everybody's different, but the first thing we suggest is download the free demo, which you've had, and trade on it. It's real market conditions and you can get used to the environment. The companies I tell people to look for are companies that are going to be around 10, 15, 20 years from now and can have tremendous upside with the technology advancements that are going to happen over the next 10 years. So it's an exciting time to invest, and it's more exciting to find these companies to invest in.
So I think the call with Tim went really, really well. He told me his journey from being in the pits in Chicago to today, now where the industry has evolved so much, where you can now trade from anywhere in the world on just your mobile phone. So I'm really inspired. I'm excited to actually make my first trade, which I'm going to be doing in the next episode. So make sure you follow along. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments for me. I'll be happy to answer, and I'll see you next time.